You may remember me from my television shows in the 1980s and 90s, and now I host two regularly live streamed virtual magic shows. One is a showcase for some of the greatest magicians in the world, and the other is a talk show featuring some of the most inspiring conjurers of our times. Welcome now to Magical People. And welcome back, everybody, to Magical People Season 5. What a pleasure and an honor to invite the great Tommy Burnett to our show. And he actually agreed to come on, so that's muchly appreciated. How are you this day, Tommy?
Wow, can't get
I
good
didn't
help.
do that. I didn't
Can't
do that, Tommy.
you do that. I did that. I was trying to be good. Before, well, hi, Dr. Michael. Before we begin, can you make sure the captions are turned on so Russell can?
Ah, actually, I can't do that at this point because I have to go places that
No
will
worries.
disturb this whole broadcast.
No
So
worries at all. No worries at all. All
too
right.
bad
So,
I
sorry,
wish we
Russell.
had a translator to
Yeah,
do that, but
me
Robina
too.
couldn't make it. Or what, she'll sneak in and she'll be there, hopefully. We don't know. And
All
that's
right.
part of the fun of Magical People is we sometimes don't know who will drop in. Maybe it'll be
Right.
the puppets from my old TV show. Maybe it'll be another distinguished guest. But fortunately, we have besides our crew and our audience this day, we have Tommy Burnett, a distinguished guest. And
Wow.
Tommy, we have so much to talk about. I just want to brag a little bit about you. Besides, I've prepared this card, so I better mention it. Yeah, I'm ready, Michael. Bring it on. Territorial VP of New York, New York, and Long Island of the International Brotherhood of Magicians. We call it the IBM. Envoy for New York State at Society of American Magicians International Assembly number 272. And I mean, there's so much more. Owner and founder of the Magic Taboo. And I'm hoping we'll chat a lot more about that in a little while. But meanwhile, I want to brag a little bit more about Tommy. When I first saw Tommy, he had his old chat show
Mhm.
and it looked gorgeous. We spoke about this off camera before we went to air, and it's like I was dazzled by the visuals. I was dazzled by your guests. I never forgot that. And then fast forward a couple of years, I was invited to, or maybe forced myself onto the Tuesday night Magic Theater as well as open mic on Wednesdays. Find those on Facebook. And there's Tommy Burnett. And it's like he's doing these really cool, I hate to call them spooky as magicians, we call it bizarre magic. And we have other terms, interesting terms, mystery. Entertainer is actually what you are, and a mentalist as well. And I thought, who is this guy? Oh, I remember him from that chat show. And fast forward again, and here we are, and you've agreed to come on the show. So, Tommy, I'm going to start with some really cliche questions because I can. How old were you when you first maybe did your first effect, your first, I hate to call it a trick because I think that demeans the whole genre, but how old were you when you first started actually maybe doing the odd thing for friends, family, school, etc.?
I was 6 when I uh, started doing magic and performing at parties and things of that nature. Yeah, I did my first professional show at the age of 12, and I made a whopping $25 American. And for a 12-year-old boy in 1973, and those of you who can add can figure out how old I am now. Um, it was a decent amount of pocket change. Yeah, and yeah, so
Very
yeah,
cool. Very cool. See, right there, you're way ahead of the game. Many magicians that we're all familiar with um, started a lot earlier than me. I gave my first professional show at 14, and it was in front of our school. I actually I didn't get paid for that one, so we can't technically call it professional. But I was 14. I did my first thing in our high school variety show. And with a friend who did magic and I did mentalism, and we keep trading off like that. And I'll never forget that. Afterwards, the cool kids, and by that, well, anyway, some of the kids started calling me Houdini. And I thought,
mm,
really? And that was a generic term for magician back then, but of course, as magicians, etc., we know Houdini specialized in escape, but early on in his career did pure magic. I think it was carnival
yeah,
stuff, if I remember
sure,
right.
yeah,
But
uh,
so you're way ahead of the game, and I'm just gonna speak a little bit. Oftentimes, when we're doing the Tuesday night magic, look it up on Facebook, or Open Mic Magic on the Wednesday. Um, Afterwards, in the after chat, the magicians kind of hang out a bit, and we love
yeah,
sharing props and we love sharing secrets. And oftentimes we dominate a little bit, Tommy and I, because he's got the kind of props and stuff that I really love. And if he hasn't bought it, maybe I have, and vice versa, and then we can compare. And we can't give because there are lay people or non-magicians in our Facebook audience, not a one in our studio audience, I might add. But the ones in our Facebook audience might be. And so we
mm,
can't give secrets away, but it's so cool when you share some of your craft. And I'm going to jump right in with you and talk bizarre magic. I have
yeah,
issues with the term because regular people will think, oh, it's bizarre. And some magicians as well. That was the theme of our last Society of American Magicians live get together was bizarre magic. And some of these magicians went, well, this is a bizarre trick, and it wasn't what we're used to. It wasn't spooky magic. Um, Go ahead, Tommy. I'm so enraptured with the props you use. He uses such neat quality, and odd and different and interesting props. When did you first get excited about that genre, about mystery magic or bizarre magic?
Well, let me just say that I recently found out that there are 15 different versions of bizarre magic. So, spooky magic is only a small part of what bizarre magic is. But you're asking specifically, in my case, because I do spooky stuff, I kind of got into it in the last 5 years or so. Uh, as you know, have been predominantly a mentalist for the last going on 30 years now. Um, Initially, I was an escape artist when I was a teenager, and then I went into doing stage magic with small props. I never did any grand illusion type stuff, although I did build for other people. I built the Lady of Light illusion and a number of substitution trunks for other people. And so I have built bigger props, but never actually used them myself. Um, Until recently when I started building like bizarre props, like my poison box.
I
Um,
love that. I love that. That's one of my favorite, we'll call them effects or experiments that I've seen you do. I love the richness of the materials and everything involved. I want to share with our audience. Actually, I want to share with our audience a recent performance by you, sir. So let's have a look.
It is written that thoughts are things. Therefore, if the thought is strong enough, it can affect other physical things or objects and attract those things like a magnet, especially if those physical objects have the same origin. It is such the case with this box and this frame. They both were made from the same wood, the wood of this house, the house where this couple resided in 1875. Watch what happens when someone tries to destroy the photo of Stephen and Elizabeth Troward. Is it sheer love or black magic?
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow. And what's exciting about that on so many levels, Tommy, I'm not just saying this to be nice. I think you know, is first of all the props. Secondly, the theme. Thirdly, you move with a little bit of grace. And I don't know if that's on purpose or just natural, but it looks very cool the way you hold the props. And lately or recently, you've been doing stuff a little bit to music, which is really my favorite because it shakes things up a little bit. We all mostly talk in our presentations, but it's really nice and refreshing. I think Rabina does the same thing. She mostly does her magic to music, but you've recently taken up doing that, and I really hope you continue. Plus, that's a Kenton Nepper effect you were mentioning. Unmute.
Yeah, so I muted myself during the video because I was laughing at myself. Uh, um, the frame part is getting up the box part is mine. Um, but the idea of making something appear in a frame that particular way with all Cat Napper, and who happens to be my mentor, and he gave me permission to use that in my effect, and it works. As you can see in the video, it works very well. And thank you for mentioning about my movements. Um, I spend a lot of hours in practice, especially for performing on Zoom, which is not always an easy, as you know, easy venue to perform in because the
Absolutely.
camera is very unforgiving.
It
So
is. It can be, but your practicing shows. It sure shows. Um, yes, I'm going to break the illusion about myself. I practice a lot in front of a mirror too, because like you say, it's
yeah,
unforgiving and it's like, well, should I hold it like this? No, I might be revealing something. Should I hold it like this? What,
yeah,
and I go through that process as I'm sure you do as well, literally a million times, and until I kind of feel satisfied about it. And that's why I'm
yeah,
happy with the Tuesday Night Magic Theater and the Wednesday open mic magic because and I think you do this too. We can talk about that in a minute.
mm-hmm.
I'll introduce a new effect on the open mic because it's, after all, open mic, right? We got that from the stand-up comedians who try out their stuff. And
Yeah,
then in between that Wednesday and the following Tuesday, the next Tuesday, I might rip it apart. I might really, rework stuff. I might add stuff that I knew I was going to do but chose not to on the Tuesday just to lend variety. Or it's like, no, you know what? I'm going to skip it and maybe do something else, which I haven't done yet. So we're very fortunate, aren't we, to have these two venues.
yeah. Um, well, yeah. I took over the Tuesday night one from Omar, who pretty much created it. Him and some other local magicians during lockdown, and then when things started getting back to normal, uh, people started working again, and Omar was gonna end it, and I was like, no, 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 let me keep, let me keep it going. I think this is important to have, and now we have a whole new crowd and crew, including yourself and Kevin and Lee and Peter John, and we have groupies, Phil and Michaela and Doug and Jeff, and yeah, so it really is a good place to work out kinks and um, yeah,
It was, and I have to tell you, although COVID was probably in recent history one of the most horrible things that could befall humankind, it resulted in so many good things as well. Zoom shows in particular, I'm speaking about, and many of us as live entertainers or in-person entertainers, if we're not a live entertainer, I guess we're deceased, but nonetheless, yeah, there we go. I'm just dying to go to that show. Many of us were set to do some live shows or in-person shows, and then
yeah,
COVID happened, and it's like, oh dear, I want to perform. What are we going to do? And so out of that, I don't know if I want to say out of necessity, but out of perhaps inspiration, came the Zoom shows, came Tuesday Night Magic Theater on Tuesdays, look it up on Facebook, and the open mic on the Wednesdays. Thank goodness. As a performer who's been getting lazy in the last few years, no, certain people won't let me get lazy. You all know who you are. It's like, well, I don't want to schlep my props anymore, even though I did a recent quite extraordinary thing. Not on my end, but the venue was neat. It was a Vancouver Magic Circle gig. Um, I'm getting really settled in doing this genre because it reminds me of my own TV show, which ran for 9 years. So I do have the experience, but when you're using new tricks or new effects every week or twice a week, you have to get used to the orientation. Are you going to hold the prop up like this, or you're going to hold your hand like this? And I love the creative process. Do you find, Tommy, that it gives you an outlet for creativity to maybe come up with a new routine or a new routine for an old prop?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because I often tell new, like people who are new in magic, to learn five really good effects and keep performing those five effects until you get beyond perfect at performing them. Because you look at people like David Copperfield, David Blaine, even people like Max King, who perform 300 days out of the year, they're always performing the same things. They
Yes,
may they may change their act accordingly, but if they do the same act over and over and over, and that's why they get paid the big bucks because they maintain they're doing the same act over and over and over, and there's no way not to get good at it, and even better than good, perfect at it. So
absolutely.
it's ironic. My point is, it's ironic having to try and do something new every week. Because there is a saying floating around the community that is something along the lines of a professional performs the same trick over and over and over, where an amateur will do something new every single time. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that because of the shows that I do. It's a weekly show, and I have to do something new every week. And same with you and Lee and all the other performers that perform on that show. It would be awfully boring if we kept doing the same thing over and over. However, on a bigger scale, if I was doing a daily show, um, or a daily live show in a theater where people came to see me, it would behoove me to do the same show every night because
Absolutely.
um, it would be
Absolutely.
crazy. Yeah, it would be
Because
crazy.
the
Not
kinks have been worked out, you know your pacing, your timing, you know
exactly.
instinctively because of experience when the audience and how the audience is going to react. I loved that. I agree with you 1,000% when you're a working professional or a working pro, as we are or were.
Yeah,
I remember for about 6, 7 years, I did the exact same act 250 shows a year for about 6 or 7 years. And yeah, things are perfected. I was just craving that a kid or an adult would call out something, a clever line, and the odd time they would, which I'd use in the next show.
yeah,
But
yeah,
as far as creativity is concerned, it's out the door if you're doing as we were, as I was 4 or 5 shows a day. And then on the Sunday, another 4 or 5 shows, you don't have time. You can only hone and so-called perfected. So I did a
right.
no-no after 6 or 7 years, and I changed most of my act. But I did that for sanity's sake, and also for practicality's sake. I got tired of schlepping around huge wooden props as well, and birds and rabbits and stuff. And I did what I was inspired by, about a good half dozen effects. And I worked that for another 6, 5, 6 years. Again, you can't help but perfect that. But the agents,
Yeah,
they go nuts. My agents did. It's like he is still doing the same show. No, guess what? I've changed it. I've got the cobra that comes out of the basket now. What? Yeah, yeah, no more rabbit. I'm doing, and it's like, so they have to promote it again differently. But we
Yeah,
have to, as professionals, and I know you'll agree on this, Tommy, we have to keep that excitement going within ourselves because if we're
yeah,
excited, they're going to get excited. So we either have to fool ourselves that we're doing this act that we've done a million times for the first time, or come up with new material. But those Tuesday and Wednesday night shows, boy, they sure give us a chance to be creative, don't they?
yeah, absolutely,
I
absolutely.
want to touch, as we begin to close, I want to touch upon the Magic Taboo, which is
Hmm.
your magic shop, your online magic
Yeah,
shop. And
yeah.
you do have incredible props, and really cool things for bizarre magicians, mystery magicians, etc. How can people have a look at this and maybe even buy something?
Well, it's funny that you ask because I happen to have right over here. 1 second.
Just like magic,
Here
it's
we go.
going to
Yeah,
appear.
yeah.
Yay.
So you can go to themagictaboo.com and see about 40 effects that I came up with and for sale, including my Mark Twain book test, my horn book effect, which is a wooden paddle that has archaic phrases on it, and somebody can think of a word, and you can tell them almost immediately what word they're thinking of. I have different decks of cards, including the modern mystic tarot deck, which I have a sample card right here. This is the moon, um, and actually here is the sun. Oh look, it's the sun moon. Oh, okay. So yeah, anyway, yeah, and that's a magician joke there. And but anyway, yeah, I have lots of great effects on there, and all available at a reasonable cost. Some of them are more expensive, like my poison box, which is pretty much handmade, um, and that's the most expensive thing in the shop. It is like over $400, but it is worth getting. Most stuff is somewhere around 25 to $50, so it's a decent rate. And hopefully you'll come visit the shop. And yeah,
Awesome. So themagictaboo.com, tommyburnett.com if you want to book Tommy or just hook up with him in chat or whatever. I
yeah,
have to thank you so much, Tommy, for
pleasure.
allowing me to interview you this day. It was incredible. I hope you'll come back and we can chat more and get into a little bit more detail. Do you think you will?
Yes, I would like that a lot.
You had me going there for a minute. It's like, really, Mike show? I don't know about. But anyway, thank you so much. Yeah, I know. And it's not just because we're buddies and we share a lot in the genre. You're loved and respected and appreciated, Tommy, not just by myself, but I know a lot of people as well.
I
Catch
appreciate
Tommy as well, everybody, every Tuesday and Wednesday, most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I think it's fair to say every Tuesday and Wednesday. Look up on Facebook, Tuesday night Magic Theater, or on the Wednesday, in case you can't make both or one or the other, open mic MIC, not Mike. You're not going to open me up with a can opener, hopefully, not. Open mic MIC Magic on the Wednesdays. Look those up on Facebook. You won't be sorry. You can't go wrong. They're free shows, but they're much
it.
more than free shows. They're all very special. The cast and crew and visitors to the show, you're all special. I feel very blessed, very thankful to be a part of that. Tommy, thank you once again. And I want to thank everybody who put up with me anyway for the last few minutes. It's not tough to put up with Tommy, but thank you for joining us this day. And hopefully we'll see you next Saturday, same time, same place. Be well, everybody. We'll see you all very, very soon.